thank you for singing that, the band. A fabulous job of that. I asked them to sing that. How many of you, is there anybody here who hasn't seen Frozen, the original movie? I would encourage you to go see it. You can probably get it fairly cheaply now because it's been a while since it's been out. So I'll tell you a little bit about it since some of you haven't heard of it. Princess Elsa, when she was a little girl, she found out that she had this magical power. She could form ice and snow with her hands. All she had to do was think about it, and ice or snow, she could build things. And one day she and her little sister Anna were playing, and Anna got hurt while they were playing with the snow and ice that Elsa had made, and she felt terrible about it. They had to take Anna off to visit a troll to get her healed, and that's a long story, but the short part of it is that Anna was damaged, and they took that memory away from her, but Elsa never forgot it. Elsa knew that she had to control her power. She couldn't have strong emotions anymore, because if she had strong emotions, she couldn't control the power. She could freeze things, and she couldn't, it got all out of hand, and this was the royal family. So the subjects would know that she was a monster, that she was a freak, that she was dangerous. And so her whole life, little Princess Elsa had to be a good girl. She shut herself away from other people so that no one would be harmed by her awesome power that she had no idea how to control. She wasn't allowed to feel. She had to stay even-keeled all the time. Well, on the day that Elsa was to be crowned queen of the kingdom that they lived in, was called Arendelle, some things happened between her and Anna, and that magic got out. She lost control. Things started getting frozen. The villagers saw her. They thought she was a monster. She thought she was a monster. She didn't know what else to do, so she said, "I'm leaving." And that song, she's singing that as she's leaving Arendelle behind. She's walking up the mountain singing that song. Let it go. Let it go. I don't need to be that anymore. I am free. And the only thing was, the whole Arendelle was freezing behind her. It was freezing. Everything was coming to a stop. So she went up there, and Anna had to go rescue. She said, "I'm going to go find her. She's the only one who can undo this magic and return us to regular life." And in that process, everything got messed up. It just got messed up. You have to see the movie. I can't possibly explain an hour-and-a-half movie in 20 minutes. Nor do I want to. But the bottom line is, Anna's heart got frozen by a mistaken shot, and she was dying. It's an amazing story because so many people relate to it. There are so many important, powerful messages in this story. Sometimes we don't like the way we are. Sometimes we don't like the gifts that we have. We don't want them. We don't think they should be this way. Sometimes we resist change. There are so many different things. Little princess become queen. Elsa didn't want that power, but she had it. I'm not sure she wanted to be queen, but that's who she was. She didn't want people to think that she was a freak, but they did. What she feared happened most. The very thing that she feared happened most. And she told herself, "I don't care. I'm free. I'll go live off by myself. The cold never bothered me anyway." So she lived in that ice castle of her own creation. She was a free person now. It was a big change. Do you think she was happy? I'm not so sure that she was happy. She put on a good show. We were looking in the past few weeks at a book called Universal Christ by Richard Rohr, and he invites us to look at changes in our life in a new way. Now, this was definitely a big change in Princess or Queen Elsa's life. And I don't think she necessarily wanted to change, but he asked us to look at a change in a new way. What if, instead of struggling through trials and tribulations in our life, what if instead of that, we just said, we're going somewhere good? No matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, What if we just welcomed change as a normal part of living and we said, I'm going to make the best of it. But most of us don't. We hold on, we hold on, we hold on, we resist change. And sometimes we just need to let it go. We just need to let it go no matter what it looks like. It's not bad because we're going somewhere good. We just can't always see where that is. What if Elsa had been convinced, instead of thinking that her power was a bad thing and that she had to control her feelings and that she had to keep it all under wraps, what if instead she'd been taught, you know, this is a gift and you're going to learn to use it in a way that will bless the world? What if she'd been told something like that instead of having to shut down her feelings, shut down her power? It would have been a really short and boring movie. But other than that, now what about our lives? What about our lives? You know, we all have magical power. We all have this amazing creative power of thought. We have this creative power of thought. Richard Rohr said, God keeps creating things from the inside out. So they are forever yearning, developing, growing, and changing for the good. Development from the inside out. That's our power of thought. And let's bear in mind that the God he's saying, when he's talking about God, he's not talking about some far distant guy in a big sky that's got, you know, the flowing white hair and all that. He's talking about that universal Christ presence, that God presence that's within every one of us. We all have that spark of divinity within us. You keep creating things from the inside out with your thoughts. We have that power. Elsa was taught that she shouldn't feel feelings, that she shouldn't feel fear, that she should keep it all under wraps. But fear is not what puts our thought power out of control. Fear is not what gets our thought power to be out of control. Fear is feedback. And I know that's a strange idea, but fear lets us know what our thoughts are creating. It gives us information. Just like when you put your hand on a hot stove, the heat sensors in your hand say, get back, because you want to save your skin. Our emotions tell us, get back from those thoughts, because those thoughts aren't serving you. Those thoughts aren't helping you. Fear lets us know that. Depression is another powerful emotion in our society. We've learned to medicate it, to not feel it, to try to do anything but feel it. But that's an emotion that tells us that our thoughts are not aligned with what God thinks about us. Because God thinks, I'm pretty sure, my inner being told me, so I won't speak for everybody, but my inner being told me that me, I, and all of you are one, and that we're all infinitely loved. We're all infinitely loved. And so our inner being isn't going to tell us, God isn't going to say, you're bad, you shouldn't feel that way, shut down those feelings. You're not supposed to feel fear, you're not supposed to feel depression, perk yourself up. Spirit says, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts telling you now? Our emotions are all spiritual guidance. It's all telling us, they're cluing us into where our thoughts would be if we were seeing ourselves through the lens of Spirit, through the lens of God, with God vision. Wish we had some God vision glasses we could put on so we could see ourselves and the world the way Spirit sees us. When you think like Spirit, you naturally feel good because Spirit is love and joy and peace. When you think like Spirit, it just feels good. But when you think less of yourself, those negative emotions are what tells you that your thoughts are a little off base. Thoughts are a little off base. They don't feel good, those feelings, but they are good. In that way, in that same way, everything in life either blesses us or calls us to a higher perspective so that we can see a blessing. Everything either blesses us. So some people say, well, what you're saying is it's all good. So if I get into all kinds of trouble, if I do all kinds of things, it doesn't matter because you said it's all good. So I can go out and I can do all kinds of self-destructive behaviors. And I'm not saying that at all. God will use it for good if you do that. God will use it for good. But there's also a better way. There's also a better way. Just take everything as a call to go a little bit higher, to go a little bit higher in your thinking, to change what you're thinking about yourself and what you're thinking about other people. And Abraham Hicks says, you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. So in this life or in the next life, the afterlife, the life, whichever, how many lives you believe we get as eternal beings, you get a chance to look at it and do it a different way the next time. I may not be able to see how something blesses me in every moment, but I can choose to have faith that everything is working together for my highest good. I can just choose to have faith that that's true, even if I don't like what's going on. Even if I don't like it, I gotta say, when we're up to our ears in alligators, it doesn't feel that good. It doesn't feel possible that everything can be for our good. It's natural to be afraid like Elsa was. I can understand that. I've been in that situation. Well, I haven't been out there making ice castles with my hands. Well, maybe I have. I like to play in the snow, but it's different. It's different. She was running away because she couldn't control her power, and she couldn't control her feelings, and she didn't know what to do about it. She shut people out. She hardened her heart. She said, you all stay down there. I don't care. I'm up here, and I'm okay with who I am. And it's important to be okay with who we are. But we can't shut the whole world out. We can't harden our hearts because we're all part of this oneness, and we're all here for each other. When we cut ourselves off like that, it's not serving the world. It's not serving us. And it doesn't, that's how you know it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It's natural for us to communicate and connect with each other. So running away, hardening our hearts, isn't the thing to do because it doesn't help us solve the underlying problem, which is her thoughts weren't changed. She was still thinking the same things that got her into that situation in the first place. And that's the way it is with us. Sometimes we feel like running away. Anybody here ever feel like running away? Anybody here ever ran away? I mean, I did. I remember how old I was. I remember where I went, and I remember what made me come back. I ran out of lifesavers. My sister gave me half of her old lifesavers. I was about 4. She said, go. I think she wanted me to leave. When I ran out of lifesavers, I came back home. I'm no dummy. So we all want to run away at times, but that's not the solution. The exception to that is sometimes we need to do as Jesus did and go apart a while. Sometimes we need to run away, to go up to the mountain, meditate, separate ourselves. But that's not to run away. That's to go within. That's to get in touch with Spirit within us. And that's a very healthy way to put ourselves apart for a while. But most of us, we're not doing that a lot. And Elsa certainly wasn't doing that. She tried really hard to control her feelings, to be that perfect girl. And here's the thing. We don't have to be perfect. None of us has to be perfect. Some of us think that we do, and we work really hard. But the bottom line is, we don't have to be perfect to get up to heaven because we're not trying to get up to heaven. We're trying to bring heaven into here. We're bringing heaven into here, into who we are, into this life. Let's make it as good as we can. Let's be all we're meant to be. It's not wrong to have feelings. It's not wrong to show our feelings. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to cry or to feel. And in our society, especially amongst the masculine gender, we've been taught, don't cry, don't show your feelings, don't be vulnerable, don't let anybody know. And when we do that, we're cutting off our emotional guidance system. We're ignoring that which so if somebody said, you've got a GPS in your car, and it can get you exactly where you want to go, you can just follow that advice, and it'll be just exactly where you want to go. Would you get in there and turn the thing off? And say, I'm not listening to that. I can find it myself. And spend 40 years wandering in the desert. We just wouldn't do that. So why are we saying don't listen to our feelings, don't feel? Because we think they're dangerous? because we think they might harm somebody. We don't necessarily need to act on every one of our feelings. I think that's true. But we do need to feel them. It's a natural system. Helps us navigate our way through life. Even when something feels bad, we can say, this is still good. This is still good because this is showing me what my highest good is. I just want to change my thoughts that are underlying the feelings. I want to look at my thinking, because when we change our thoughts, our feelings will change. They absolutely will. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote, "The thinking faculty in you makes you a free agent because it is your creative center. It is your creative center. In and through this one power, you establish your consciousness, you build your world." That power of thought. Elsa's power wasn't the problem. Her fear wasn't the problem either. So if you think that painful emotions are the problem and you have to get rid of them, you might want to let it go. Let it go. The thoughts that caused her fears were the problems. She was told that she always had to be a good girl to control her feelings, that power was harmful, that it was destructive. She said, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. How many of us have been told not to show our feelings or to not even have feelings? That we're supposed to, in the workplace, you're supposed to always maintain a calm, even demeanor. You're never supposed to step out of line. I was told that. I'm not going to get into that story. I'll tell that another time. Okay, so we've been told not to have feelings. Don't be angry, don't be sad, don't be afraid, don't be. That's like saying, God is right here trying to say, it's this way. You know, if you'll just come here, if you just, that thought, just adjust that thought a little bit. Can you think of that in a different way? And we're going, I'm not listening to anything you have to say, just because you know it all. Just because you know it all. There's another message that's in this movie that I think is very powerful. And that is, whatever has happened in the past, whatever you think you have done to harm another, whatever you think someone has done to harm you, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go, because we're not living in the past. There is no power in the past. It's all now. Everything is happening right now. So let go, because we want to move forward, and we can't do that if we're frozen in the past. As I said before, Anna didn't even remember that time when she was harmed, when she was a little girl, but Elsa did, and that's part of what was keeping her stuck. As soon as you let go of that past, as soon as you let go of it, you're free. You're free. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then, for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. Man will have discovered fire. And so the rest of the story. In Frozen, Anna sacrificed herself to save Elsa. She was a monster, and they were coming after her, and they were about to kill her. Actually, I think it was the bad boyfriend or somebody. Anyway, about to kill her. And Anna threw herself in harm's way, and she was killed. And Elsa hugged her, held her, mourned for her. Her heart broke. Even though she had separated herself from her sister for so many years, to see this happen, her heart broke, and it broke open. And the love that poured out of her thawed Anna. It broke the magic spell. All of Arendelle started to thaw out. That was the key to the whole thing. How do you reverse this terrible magic spell? Love. And the love that she was feeling right now saved them all. She discovered that all it took to break the spell was to live from a place of love. Love is the key to using your magic for good. Love is the key to using our magic for good. That magic power of our thoughts. If all of our thoughts begin with love and end with love, then we will create a world for ourselves that is so powerful. We will have discovered fire in our lives. This week, if you haven't already, or even if you have, I invite you to watch Frozen one more time. I understand there's sequel. Is the sequel out or coming out? It's out? I know what I'm doing this week. Okay. We want to create our lives from the inside out using the power of our thoughts. We know that we can feel our feelings. It's okay to do that. We know that there is guidance in that listening to our emotions. And so opening to that, we will master the waves, the winds, tides, gravity. We will. A lot of that humankind has already mastered. What we haven't yet mastered is our thoughts. We haven't yet mastered our thinking. But when we can do that, we'll be the masters of our lives. So I invite you to work on that, think about that, and to remember, no matter what it looks like in any given moment, no matter how it feels, all things are working together for your highest good. They really are. And you're going someplace good. Thank you, and God bless you.